All right, hello everybody. This is Kerry Bird, Marketing Director for Duncan Gun Shop, and here we have...
My name is Doug Holbrook. I'm the Safe Logistics and Sales.
So Doug and I wanted to bring to you today what we're going to call an after-action report. Last week we were fortunate enough to be sent out to Utah, Provo area, to have the Liberty Safe Dealer Forum attendance out there. And wow, Doug, we are still recovering from the amount of information that we learned out there. And in addition to that, it's starting to be a running joke here, but Doug and I were in the part of that 1,500 flight cancellation. We were supposed to leave Thursday night. We just got back to Charlotte Sunday. And I don't know about you, but I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is talk about two parts of those 2 days. One is the factory tour, and then we also did a demolition out there, and then we also had some breakout sessions on day one. Last Wednesday was 4 or 5 breakout sessions, and then the next day was the factory tour. So once again, that was in Provo, Utah, and the Liberty factory is actually a little bit south in Payson, Utah. Cannot tell you enough how beautiful that area is. Provo's actually bordered, the entire city's bordered by the Wasatch Mountains, and what a view to wake up to every morning, Doug.
No doubt.
So, Doug, on those breakout sessions, let's talk about those a little bit. Was there any sessions that kind of stood out for you?
The first session that we done was going over the Liberty models, all the upgrades and things that they've done to them in the last year and a half or so, upgrading the fire rating on most of the safes, the upgraded steel on the Lincoln series. It's gone to a 11 gauge steel where it was a 10 gauge steel, and just some new safe models that they actually have coming out. They have been importing home safes for several years, and now they're going to be doing all those in-house in Utah. So they're not going to have any import floor safes.
That's actually a huge point that kind of bleeds over into the factory tour that I definitely want to mention. You know, when I started working here for Duncan and saw the safes, growing up in a home that didn't have a safe, to me a steel box was a steel box. In the Liberty factory, every corner you turn, there's an American flag. They are very, very proud of the fact that these safes are made in the USA, soon to be their entire line 100%. The labor force there 100% employed here in the United States. And, you know, it really is just, you know, leaving that factory, I never felt more proud to sell a particular product. They stand behind that. And, you know, for me in those breakout sessions, probably coming from the marketing side, Richard hosted a session that really kind of, you know, that was kind of, obviously, I'm not going to get into the details of the marketing stuff, but it was interesting, some of the things that he brought to the table that I'm going to be bringing forward here on the Liberty Facebook page. So make sure you follow us. If you like the page, that's one thing, but make sure you pull that menu down and actually follow our content just to make sure you don't lose anything. So over to the factory, Doug. Let's talk about that day. How did that day start off for us?
The factory day started off with us going out to what they call the farm. We was out in the middle of the Provo Valley, and they was going to do some safe demolition. They had Liberty USA 50 and 2 competitor safes. I'm not going to mention which ones they are, but basically they got a demolition crew to come in and take 2 full sticks of dynamite to the front of this safe to try to breach the door. One safe, it blew it completely off, blew the door completely off. Another competitor safe that's made in China, it blew it plumb off the hinges. The Liberty USA 30, it made 2 big dents on the top of it.
Yeah, so as you can see, as we're sitting here talking, I'll put some pictures up on the screen of those pictures, and then sort of a little fun thing they did at the end was, I'll go ahead and throw that up there now. They did a detonation in a pond that was located behind the safes, and I don't think I was ready to see how high that water actually shot with that dynamite. So, you know, bottom line, those 2 competitors, one made in Mexico and then one in China, just total complete failures on their security. The Liberty safe was intact. A crowbar breach would be impossible, even after 2 sticks of dynamite on that front door.
Yeah.
So let's see. That was pretty cool, I have to say. So from the farm, we went to the actual factory. I can't remember the square footage of the factory.
I don't remember the square footage on the factory. They've got a 1 million square foot warehouse.
Yeah, the warehouse is 1 million square feet, holds up to 15,000 safes. I'll go ahead and throw a picture I took up of that room. It is, if you saw Indiana Jones, the first one at the end of the movie, when they're putting the ark away in the warehouse, kind of had that feeling of just massive storage. From that particular room, we went over into what I would call the war room. And in that room, there's a gentleman there at Liberty, ex-military. He has positioned and designed that room to be what you would normally see in a forward deployment area in the military. You can tell immediately, just from that first room we walked in, that there is a changing of the guard, per se, at Liberty, to where you get the feeling that the quality control starts there. Everything that happens in that factory at every single quality control point comes back to that room, and they correct it immediately. On our end, that keeps dealer and customer complaints down. If something comes up, it is addressed immediately, and that was a huge takeaway. Was that war room when I saw that. In the factory, Doug, and that factory is just, I was speechless walking out of there. And Doug and I, out of most of the dealers in the entire United States, we were 2 of the last ones in there still asking questions, because I think we were both so blown away. What kind of takeaways or any particular departments in that Liberty factory that are going to stick with you moving forward?
The efficiency of that factory. Everything from the Centurion line, where it is the most automated, safe manufacturing line in the world, is what they told us. All the cutting, all the welding, everything is done robotically. The only thing that they have to do on that line is more or less put the interior and the locking mechanism in it. The roll form line, which is your Freedoms, Colonials, and Franklins, there's a little more hands-on there, but they've added so much to these lines to make them so much more efficient. They've added welding booths, they've added laser cutting stations. Just off of that line alone, they can produce 250 safes a day with 2 10-hour shifts.
Yeah, and on that efficiency note, so in manufacturing globally, manufacturing handles their lines and their production differently. One thing that really jumped out to me was, typically in a normal manufacturing situation, you're going to have a shelf with a bunch of parts on it. Those parts get pulled, and the safe, for example, starts to get put together. What Liberty has done is actually do what's called kitting, where, in the water jet room, which is actually cuts the sheetrock that goes inside of the safe, in a normal manufacturing setting, those parts would be put on a shelf and pulled as it gets built. What Liberty has done is actually taken all the parts for one safe, put them on their own cart, so that cart stays with that job, and it just results in less walking for the employees, and just less opportunity for injury. They take all that into account at Liberty, and it was just so incredible to see how well they also take care of their employees. There was that room that they're building now for the employees as a locker room, break room. That was pretty cool to see that they're making an investment back into their workers. For me, the powder coat room was incredible. And I don't know if I have any video. I do have some pictures I'll put up here on the screen. The gentleman in charge of that powder coat operations, I can't remember his name, but he owns that process. He knows we threw a couple questions at him. Nothing was missed. The safes actually hang and go in a pattern around the room. If there's a defect, they'll fix it on the line, and they will powder coat up to 3 times to make sure that powder coat job is nearly 100% perfect, or it goes into what they call their seconds. And man, that powder coat room, color changes they'll do on the fly.
They try to do all the different sizes with the same color as they can, so that makes it that much more efficient. They're doing colonial 30s like they were doing the day that we were there, or the Franklins. Anything in the same color, they hang and paint it all at the same time.
Yeah, Doug makes a good point. That goes back to efficiency, because normally if burgundy was up or black, they would take that safe, paint it, and then if there was a color change on that same model, you would have to do a color change. And then what they've done actually is mix and match models, but keep the color the same to keep the color change down. And I mean, I don't think you could set up a factory more efficiently than what they've done. Even something as small as supply chain, they have a camera back by the loading dock that the steel supplier actually monitors visually their steel quantity. So once that gets low, the supplier checks in on the camera. If it's low, they'll go ahead and reorder. And
Liberty don't even order their steel; it's automatically ordered.
It automatically comes to them if the quantity gets low. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Saw the assembly part where the silk screens get actually silk screen on top of the doors. That's where the locks get put in, the shelving, and from there it goes out to the warehouse. Transitioning over to Duncan safes. July or in June, I wanted to say this: all Liberty models, with the exception of
the Centurions and a couple others that we bought on group buy.
Okay, so
that are already on sale.
Other than Centurions, almost every single Liberty safe upstairs right now. We're down here in our concealed carry classroom, but right now until the end of June, it's the perfect time to take advantage of picking up a Made in USA Liberty safe. And Doug is kind of he's our go-to guy. If you buy a safe here, there's a good chance he's going to be on the delivery team. He's going to be managing that project. Every single question you could ever imagine about a Liberty safe, Doug's going to be able to help you with. Feel free to come in and ask for him by name. This is definitely the go-to guy. I was fortunate to go out there with him, and man, what a great trip. I think it's going to be a couple of days before I absorb everything that happened on that trip and how I want to take their material and get it to you. Feel free to drop us a message here on Facebook, private message, give the shop a call, just stop in Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturday, starting to blank out here, Saturday 10 to 4, Sunday 1 to 5. And we are in the middle of a 2-week sale too, so stop in out whenever you can here in North Wilkesboro. Doug, did you have anything else to add to that trip?
Yeah, I wanted to speak on what they call the heavy line, which is your Lincolns, the National Security, the Magnums, the Presidentials. That is a completely separate line than any of the other safes, and there's a reason for that. There is no robotic welding on it. It is all hand welded. There's guys that stand there and grind on the safes to make sure that they're as smooth and as slick as they can before they actually get hand painted. On the heavy line, they might have 10 safes ordered and all 10 of them be a different color. So that makes it easier for them to change paints and actually put these custom order safes out quicker. And we talked to the guy that was over that line, and he was just ecstatic over his job.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because that conversation we had with him, another dealer had asked, why don't you take the heavy line into a robotic production? And at this point, they may eventually get there, but there's such a source of pride in the craftsmanship of hand painting those safes and hand assembly. I almost feel they would sort of be a little bit heartbroken if that thing went robotic.
Yeah.
It's such it's a labor of love. You can tell it. Leaving that factory, I felt very proud to carry Liberty safes after that. Before that tour, guys, I felt like it was probably just another steel box. So they definitely sold me. And man, come on in and see the Liberty safes. Are you good, Doug? You anything else to add? Good. All right. Well, hope to see you up here at Duncan Gun Shop in North Wilkesboro, and have a good one.
Thank you.